Good evening. Welcome to tonight's edition of Diamond Live. That's Friday, the 24th.
24th, yes, it's the 24th.
24th of January 2025. Thank you so much for joining us on the show tonight. My name is Dinginda Jonah and coming up on the show tonight, we are going to be talking about what you could regard as one of the hottest issues of this week. It's the arrest and subsequent release of Central Committee member of the Patriotic Front, Mumbi Phiri, who has been doing some media rounds today as well, and she'll be joining us here. But we also have the other end of this discussion, and that is the Green Economy Minister Mike Mposha, who will be also joining us virtually to talk to us about this issue. But it's just the two of us here today, Chimweka.
Yes, indeed, the two of us, but it's going to be the four of us eventually. Looking forward to a very interesting discussion as we host the Green Economy and Environment Minister, who's also a Manali Member of Parliament. But what's interesting is that both of them have held that position before of Member of Parliament for Manali, and they have been open enough to talk about how they are their neighbours. But I wonder how this is going to go, considering that they say they've been close and they've been able to interact over the years. But now it seems like that relationship has been strained. But we'll talk more about that and get to hear from them as the show does go by this evening.
Absolutely. And you can be a part of the show. You can call us or leave us a message. You can also leave a comment on our live feed on Facebook. You know, Chimweka, one of the... I miss old TV.
Yeah.
You know why I miss old TV? Because when we started, you'd have said, Jonah, you look good. That's what old TV was about, you know. And then I would say, you also look lovely, Chimweka.
Yeah.
But I don't know why you're losing your way.
It's good you've mentioned old TV, because new TV, I mean, I've been talking to you for the last 15 minutes before the show. If you felt that way, you'd have told me off the camera and vice versa. So new TV, I mean, you say that way before. So that was a perfect opportunity missed.
That's why we don't say when the show starts at how are you, Chimweka? How are you doing? As if we've not been together the whole day.
Fine. How are you doing, Jonah? Good to see you. Happy New Year.
It's the end of the week, and it's the weekend starting.
Yeah, but we need to get ready. It's a Friday. What are we doing for the Friday? That's us old TV, but here we are with new TV. But quite a lot has happened also, Jonah, during the course of the day, as we also get into our snaps. One of the interesting stories is that the Human Rights Commission did have a briefing today, and they did speak towards a number of issues, the complaints that they've received and recorded from the year 2024. And interesting enough that this update or this revelation is coming through while we have the United Nations Human Rights Council Special Rapporteur in the country. But even just speaking into what has been happening regarding our guest in Mrs. Mumbi Phiri and what had happened in Kaambwa. So, I mean, they spoke towards a number of issues today, and we also got to see that, state actors were also involved in some of these complaints that they received from 2024. Absolutely.
And, one of the outstanding things, Chimweka, about what we've seen with Mrs. Mumbi Phiri is the fact that, to a large extent, you can agree that a lot of people have spoken with one voice that this arrest was kind of senseless, right? And I've talked to different people that have felt that it was kind of senseless. But something happened yesterday, Chimweka, that has also brought this conversation, made this conversation even bigger. And this is the firing of the Deputy Inspector General of Police for Operations. That is Mr. Muyambango, who was fired. Yes, Milna Muyambango fired yesterday. The last man standing from the three top job people appointed in 2021 in the Zambia Police Service, Lemi Kajoba, fired. The other Deputy Inspector General of Police fired. And finally, the last man standing yesterday fired. He was brought out of retirement, early retirement, after he had been fired under the Patriotic Front regime. And so he was brought back after President Hakainde Hichilema won the election. And here we are. He's gone right back. Very interesting turn of events, because he was not so far off from the Kaambwa by-election himself, leading the operation there. So it was a very, very interesting statement yesterday by the president. Interesting because at the end of this statement, the president says that law enforcement agencies, he says that law enforcement, public officers must respect the law, uphold the rule of law, and be accountable to the citizens that they serve.
I mean, that's the general expectation from not only the Republican president, but the citizenry. And again, you can understand because the citizenry are the ones who put President Hakainde Hichilema in that position and is expected to do that. And it's not the first time we've heard of concerns coming through from leaders in these positions, whether it's the Inspector General of Police himself or his deputies. In fact, for him, who's just been dismissed now, you'd hear from opposition leaders who've complained about him that he's not performed professionally. One of the I guess memorable instances for especially the Patriotic Front, they solely put the blame on him, saying he was there directly supervising the illegal convention that happened on the 23rd of October 2023, where Mr. Mao Sampa eventually emerged as president of the Patriotic Front. Those are some of the examples they give, and they say, well, this is now probably an action taken by the president. According to people like even Mr. Emmanuel Mamba, they say this is an action that should have been taken a while ago, and it's even a bit too late for President Hakainde Hichilema to make this decision. But here we are now. And it just gets to speak also towards how these positions really, they change. People change, people hold these positions, get to change. And that's why it's very important for even those who occupy them to remain very accountable, very transparent, and professional in what they do.
Absolutely. And part of the statement yesterday was, as per usual, citing which part of the Constitution gives the president the power. And we're going to quickly take a look at this part of the Constitution, Article 270 of the Constitution. There's something interesting here, Chimweka. It says, in this Constitution, unless a contrary intention is expressed, power to appoint a person to hold or act in an office includes the power to confirm appointments, to exercise disciplinary control over the person holding or acting in the office, and to remove that person from office. I think why this is in bold is because this basically insinuates that part of the reason, possibly, the reason why he was fired was because of disciplinary control over the person that was holding or acting in that office. Why the speculation? Well, because the president never says why he has fired somebody or why he has terminated a contract, which is effectively what firing is, terminated the contract of a public officer that he appoints. But the tone of the statement yesterday was very strong, because normally it's usually short and precise, just thanking somebody for the service that they've rendered. But it went on further to kind of add a caution to the people that are serving in these positions. But yeah, we'll talk about that in detail much later as well. But also another rather unique situation is the 3 people that are reported to have died at the Lusaka Correctional Facility within a span of 1 week. This was disclosed by 29-year-old convict Emmanuel Mtonga of Bowlen Compound during a court session at the Lusaka Magistrate Court. Mtonga, who has been sentenced to 12 months in jail for trafficking in psychotropic substances contrary to Zambian law, made the revelation while seeking leniency from the court. That's a huge number, right? 3 people within one correctional facility within a week is... because it's not a hospital, it's not like you are dealing with just sick people. You're just dealing with people. So to have, because it's like saying you've experienced 3 deaths in 1 week in a university, for example. And I know maybe that wouldn't be the perfect example because the conditions are significantly better in a university, but 3 people in a span of 1 week is a lot.
I mean, we've had so many talks around decongesting the correctional facilities, because we know that this is also an additional cost even for the government when we have people get into the correctional facility. But at the same time, of course, the law needs to take its course, and people get into the correctional facility to, of course, get through that correction, a moment of reflection as they, spend their time there. But even with that getting to happen, there's a lot that people will look towards in terms of how this, the convictions get to happen. And like you've rightly mentioned, if you talk about 3 in a space of 1 week, that's quite a number. That's quite a number, and we're looking ahead. Obviously, there are more cases with the courts, back in session for 2025. There's more cases that are going to be held, and how many more people are we going to have in these correctional facilities? So we've been really the discussions around even the state of the correctional facilities really needs to be held, and we've heard people who have been there before, who have done their time. They've whether been pardoned by the Republican president or they've completed their sentence. We've heard so many discussions around, the state of the correctional facility, and this should not be neglected. We have institutions, for example, like Priska, which is headed by, if I'm not mistaken, Mr. Godfrey Malembeka. He advocates for this, reforms, and he advocates towards, having, better situation for the people who are there. They're still human beings at the end of the day, and it's still responsibility of the government to make sure that they are taken care of, despite them being in a correctional facility. And once we have that as a society, and we can look at that in a better perspective, then I think we'll also reach a situation where, as a country, we have even inmates have a better life. I mean, in as much as, yes, they have been secluded from the rest of society, they still deserve to have, a life that a human being should be able to have, even while in a correctional facility.
Absolutely. All right, Chimweka, we're going to take a break, and then when we come back, we continue with tonight's edition of Diamond Live. After these short messages, we're going to be talking to 2 of our guests tonight. We have the Patriotic Front Central Committee member, Mumbi Phiri, joining us on the show tonight. But there's also another side to this story, and that is the Green Economy Minister, Mike Mposha, who's also going to be talking to us on the show tonight. Welcome back. You're still watching tonight's edition of Diamond Live, Friday, the 24th of January. Before the break, we did say that we'll be joined by a Central Committee member of the Patriotic Front, Mrs. Mumbi Phiri. She's joining us tonight because of what has happened over the last few days. Over the last few days, and beyond that, because she was behind bars for about a fortnight, and this is because of an incident that happened around the Kaambwa by-election. She'll tell us what exactly happened, but we also would like to add context to this conversation and understand it better just as much as you would like to. So that's why you can contribute by calling in on the number that is on your TV screen, or you can leave a comment on our live feed on Facebook, and we might just take a look at some of the comments that you leave on the show. But good evening, Mrs. Mumbi Phiri. Thank you so much for joining us tonight.
Good evening, my dear sons, and a happy new year. I'm so grateful that you invited me over. And in fact, this is the first time I'm visiting your TV station.
Oh, really?
Really?
Yeah.
This is it's a great thing to have a big machine in our studio.
Have a big machine.
Which is a name she's embracing. How is that going, embracing the big machine title?
It's great. I think the women of Kaambwa were right when they said I'm a big machine. You know what happened, how this name came about? The day I was released, in fact, women came to demonstrate at the police station early in the morning. And later in the afternoon, at 12 hours, I was released. And they were there and they gave me a big machine. I said, oh, yes. I just realized that,
Do you know where it comes from? This big machine issue. Do you know where it comes from?
No, I don't know. It's
You have no idea?
No, it's
Oh,
the
my
women who
goodness.
gave me in Kaambwa.
No. So let me.
But there's been a video circulating of her dancing
To the song.
To the song.
I was dancing to the song here. This name came from Kaambwa.
Okay.
That was at Millennium TV when I was invited for an interview this morning.
So that's where it comes from. So the women probably
In Kaambwa-
heard the
in
song.
Kaambwa.
They heard the song. There's a song by 76 Drums. These are big machines.
And I heard it for the first time, that song, today at Millennium Radio.
In fact, we'll just ask our director
be a
towards
ringtone.
the end of the show to maybe play it towards the end of the show. But indeed, great to have you. We know that you just recently came back from Kaambwa.
I arrived this morning at 03.
And you've been quite busy since, and obviously there's a lot that people want to understand from what exactly happened. And we'll start from there, just getting your brief account of what happened.
What happened was, on that same day, as per schedule of the Electoral Commission of Zambia, Patriotic Front was campaigning in the Kala area, where, is it Chitambo School was. And in fact, I went as far as Kala, where the military camp is. When I was coming back, I saw 2 vehicles at a school. And because I had a problem with my car, we had a slow puncture, we were rushing that we should go and have it fixed. We went, the driver dropped me at the campaign center, and he went into town to fix the vehicle. So I just saw a vehicle from our campaign center, and I saw it when I went. I was just there in Kaambwa for 2 days. And the person who was driving it told us that they had found Honorable Mposha at that school, those 2 vehicles I talked about. And according to the information they brought to us, they said they were marking pre-marked ballot papers.
And where did this information come from?
From the boy who came with a Land Cruiser, a white Land Cruiser, which I went back with at that same primary school. So I got 3 women from the campaign center whom I found there, and myself, plus the driver. We were the 5 of us. We got into the car. We reached at the school. And when Honorable Mposha saw me, he was comfortable. He said, Mulamu, Baba Fana, Valeta Chongo. Then my first question I asked him, but Mulamu, you're not supposed to be here. Today is our day to campaign here. What are you doing here? Then he told me, no, they got permission from the Electoral Commission of Zambia. And he held me by the hand and took me to the classroom to say, come and see, they're accusing me of having ballot papers, but come and see what we are doing. When we entered there, there was a computer, there was a register, and there were some UPND t-shirts. I went through the file, the folder, and I saw those are the things which we also do. When you want to give campaign material, you write people's names down. Then when you go to that area, you tick and you give them out. And if you listen to the video where they quoted me, one, you can clearly hear me asking him, what are you doing here? It's him who came to the side where was supposed to be campaigning on that day. They were not supposed to be there. 2, when they showed me what they were doing there, I saw the file and the campaign material. Then people were making noise. When we arrived, even the villagers had now gathered.
Not that you went there with them, because what we're getting is that you went there with a group of cadres and youths.
Let me just finish. You hear. So it took me inside, and there was noise, there was friction. Then I was telling everybody, you people, calm down. There's nothing of what you're saying. I didn't find any ballot papers. And I don't lie like UPND. My God, the God I serve, doesn't allow me to lie. And to me, it's very clear. Liars will not enter the kingdom of God. I came out, and Honorable Mposha escorted me. I went inside the car. I realized that since I went with 3 other women, one of the women didn't come with us. That's how I came out and followed that woman whom I found having a confrontation with Honorable Mposha. I got her to say, let us go. That's how we entered. There was only 1 man in the car and 4 women. And we had some things at the back because the following day it was voting, was supposed to deliver to the people for eating on the campaign day. So there was only 1 man and 4 women.
This is in the car you were in?
Yes. That's how we left. Because when we went at the campaign center, there was now a message to say, you know, there are some pre-marked ballot papers which they had found with Honorable Mposha. There were some backup vehicles that came. That's where those other boys who were there entered those other vehicles. There were about 3 of them. And we left. The following, I had a radio program on that same day. I went to the studio. I had my interview. When I finished, it was Honorable Mposha who came also for the interview. So I don't know where they even made this story to say Mumbi had run away.
When he came for the interview, did you meet? Like
No,
after?
we didn't meet. So the following day, because I started off that same night, I had to pick things for cooking. I had chilanga muliro in Serenge for my niece. So I packed it through Mpika. I used Ruwingu Kasama because I had to pick things from Mpika Kanchibia to take for that chilanga muliro. On my way, because my phone was flat, I was charging it. When I looked at my phone, I found a missed call from Honorable Mposha. And I called him back. That's when he said, mlamu, mwa ukabwanja, na ukabwino. Baja bafana bamene banabwera ku campaign center. Banaba phone na 20,000 had given my boys to buy fuel for today for the elections. Then I said, then I'll find out from the campaign center. I'll get back to you. And he told me, but they check the phone and they shouldn't delete anything from the phone. Na 20,000 in Shkwasira. So na bwana muza, but I've heard, by then I had heard somebody called me that Honorable Mposha had reported me to the police. So I asked him, nanga mlamu ivamene nandera tumanishita report to police. He told me, no, nivaboza. Go to any police station, you won't find that we have reported you. Mposha is my neighbor. Mposha is my friend. Our children are friends. He passes through my house before he reaches home. So I believed him. Later on, then we said, bye. I'll find out, then I'll let you know. Abwera Kaambwa, now they are saying, the other thing he complained about was, you have tarnished my image that I was found with ballot papers. I told him, from that video, did you see my mouth opening that you had ballot papers? I didn't even know that there were some people who were taking pictures. I also just saw it. But me, I cannot lie. I'll clear. I didn't find ballot papers, so I cannot be part of the lie to say you had ballot papers. So that's how we started off.
So you told him this. You said on the phone. You said I'm gonna clear.
Yes, because I didn't find ballot papers. Why should I destroy his name over a lie? I'm not like that. And it's true. I called. Daily Nation called me. I told them, no, me, I didn't find any ballot papers. Which other? There were about 3 stations who called me. I cleared. I said I didn't find any ballot papers, and I think if you saw the Daily Nation of that day, I said I didn't find any ballot papers. Radio Phoenix, same. I think even Millennium Radio. Then when I came out of the car, because we had a wedding on Sunday, my husband's young sister's daughter was getting married, so they needed the vehicle for the lineup. I remained in Serenge. My vehicle proceeded. First, we were stopped at Pensuro checkpoint by police. We were there for about 20 minutes. The police didn't say anything. Later, they told us to go. Then I said, I've heard that I've been reported to the police. That's what I was telling the police. Me, I'm remaining in Serenge. Are you sure that when my child who is driving the vehicle goes alone, you will not have problems? They said, no, you can proceed. So I disembarked in Serenge. And the driver proceeded with the vehicle. When I just disembarked, I received a call from Millennium Radio. And the presenter introduced himself and he said, I'm just from talking to Honorable Mposha over what happened in Kaambwa. If you listen to that recording, there is nowhere where Honorable Mposha said, I had stolen money or I had taken a phone. He only complained on that program with his own mouth. It was live. He only complained about the ballot papers which were lied on. And by the way, you should be aware that Honorable Mposha made 2 statements. He was forced to make the second statement because they told him he should implicate me. So that's what happened.
Well, just hold on. With regards to all of these things that have happened, Well, there's one side to the story, but I also understand that we're going to be speaking with the minister to get his side of the story. But before we do that, I just want to, you've told us as far as you going to Serenge. How do you end up in a jail cell?
When I went to Serenge, later, I started getting news. There was an impression which was created that had run away. I had to make a voice note and send it to Hot FM to say, I'm surprised that they are saying they are looking for me. Me, I'm in Serenge because after Chilangamrilo, we also have a farm in Serenge. I wanted to make sure since I was there that we put fertilizer. You know how it is like when you give workers a loan. So I wanted to be present. I sent a voice note to Hot FM and told them, no, I'm in Serenge. When I get back to Lusaka, I'll come to the police station. By then, the police had sent even a call out. They took it to my house. And my husband received it. And he forwarded it to the lawyers. And the lawyers wrote to the police headquarters and told them that they were on recess. You know, December usually, lawyers go on recess. And they reported that we'll bring her back, we'll bring her when she's here on the 7th. So when I arrived from Serenge, I went straight to force headquarters. Me, I thought I was going for questioning because the person's name which was coming up was Peter, whom I don't even know. You know, we were featuring in that election as Tonse Alliance, so I can't know everybody. And I wasn't responsible for assigning people to go where. In fact, when Honorable Mposha called me, he told me himself to say, you know those boys, Mamlam, they came here the first time and they left. They came the second time and they left. That time when you came, that was the third time. Himself, he told me. So how can he now change to say, I went with the boys? When he himself from his own mouth told me that the time I was going there, that was the third time that those boys were there. And what was happening was, I think when they went, they were leaving some to monitor what Mposha was doing. The second time, they left some people. Me, I innocently went there with women.
Let's hear from the minister as well, because there's a lot of things that have been said now with regards to all of this. And Minister, the Central Committee member here highlights a lot of things relating to what happened in Kaambwa, and I believe she would also like to know why and how she gets implicated in all of this when, according to her, you also acknowledged that it didn't seem like she had anything to do with the alleged theft. And clearly now, even with the outcome of this, she had nothing to do with the alleged theft of the phone and the money.
Jonah, good evening, and good evening to the viewers out there.
Good evening.
Can you hear me?
Loud and clear.
Thank you very much. First of all, we've had challenges with the connectivity. I'm in the outskirts. I'm out of town. But I'm grateful that you gave me this platform to just share my views. To start with, I want to tell the viewers and yourselves, the anchors of this program, that I'm extremely, extremely disappointed and shocked that a person who some people respect so much in the name of that woman seated there would actually come and go around the radio stations, come to the TV station, and tell the whole nation which things that she knows deep down her heart as a Christian, that what she's telling you there, she's actually lying to the nation that she did not come with those people, she just came with women. Now, let me put this to context. On the 18th of December last year, I was at a school called Chisheta School. I was assigned. I'm the one who was running the campaign for a word called the Senga word. So on that day, I went to a school called the Chisheta School, where I was meeting branch officials. And I want to put this in context. I want the citizens, the Zambians out there, to listen very carefully that this was not a public rally. This was was a meeting of our UPND branch officials. So I went to that school, and it was drizzling that day. It had been raining earlier in the day, and at the time I arrived there, the rains had gone down a bit. It was drizzling. And then I devised a system that, because we had a lot of branch officials, we couldn't all meet in one classroom. So I asked them to be coming in a classroom as leaders, so that we verify our branch registers, first of all, one. Secondly, to also ensure that we counter-check that all our branch officials, our UPND officials in the branches had the NRCs, and they also had the voters' cards, because we want our officials who are with code officials to be well prepared when we are in an election time. But also they were receiving the materials that they had not received during the campaigns that had started 2 weeks earlier. So I was distributing T-shirts there. Now, fast forward, whilst I was inside the classroom, I just heard some jeering and some noise outside. I continued having my meeting in the classroom, and when the noise became louder, I decided to step outside and asked, I said, what is happening? At that point, I saw a Toyota Land Cruiser station wagon, white in color, speeding off. Then I asked, I said, what is happening? Then I was told at that point that we had the PF members who had come to harass people at that Chisheta school. Then I laughed it off. I said, oh, PF, they even have the guts to come to our meeting, because clearly anyone...
Sorry to cut you, Mr. Mposha. At that point, when you heard that noise, was Mrs. Phiri present at that particular time? Was this before you noticed her?
She mentioned to you that she was informed that this vehicle came to our place 3 times. So I'm coming there.
Okay.
So at that point, Madam Mumbi Phiri was not there. Okay? And at that point, I had not even gotten into some argument with the boys who are using that vehicle. So within 10 minutes, so the vehicle sped off, and I was made aware that there was a vehicle which came with the PF members who had started threatening people, and they promised that they would be back. Within less than 10 minutes, that vehicle came back, and I could hear the loud noise, people jeering. I knew that they were the ones, so I quickly got up to come out of the classroom, and one of my boys, Bodwin, who was my media person in my company, came out, was rushing in my direction and told me, Honorable Minister, it's that same group that have come back. I said, okay, let me talk to them. And he quickly opened his phone and he started showing me the pictures. And these are the guys who came earlier. I took pictures of them. I said, okay, fine. Then I went now to approach them. So when they saw me, one of the boys in glasses came out with a camera and said, Honorable Minister, no. I said, why are you saying no, even before we greet each other? No, you can't be doing this. What are you doing with ECZ officials? I said, which ECZ officials? No, we are aware you are with ECZ officials and you have ballot papers and you are making people vote even before the election. I said, look, what kind of a silly accusation is that? Have you seen any ECZ officials? No. Then 2 boys came out of that vehicle, armed with catapults, armed with teaser guns. So I told them, I said, you guys, you came here, threatened people, and you have come here now armed with all these things. What is your intention? Can't you learn a lesson? Now I was engaging them. And at that time, Jonah, they started filming me. I didn't have a problem with that because there was nothing to hide there.
And Minister, just as you continue, so just for clarity, this time the Central Committee member of the PF, Madam Mumbi Phiri, is still not there.
She's still not there. This is now the second time, okay? She was not there. So these guys now, at this stage, these guys had an argument with me. They knew there's a minister here. There is having a meeting here with party officials, but clearly they came there to antagonize us. And I was even in their own video, which they were filming me. I told them, I said, you can't abuse us like this. This is our meeting, and you can see here that we are peaceful. Can you switch off your vehicle, call the police and the ECZ if you suspect that we are doing anything wrong. They refused. And I told them, I said, why are you carrying weapons? At that stage, people started reacting. I had to calm down a bigger group. I said, don't do anything because they want to use this to accuse us that we caused the violence. That's how I repelled them. They drove off and they said they were coming back. Okay? Within 8 minutes, as they had promised, this is now for the 3rd time, the same vehicle came back. I heard the noise again. I stepped out of the classroom. I came out and I saw this vehicle arriving. And the first person to come out of that vehicle is that woman you are seated with there. She was accompanied with one lady who was also just a lumpen and, things that were not even adding up. The first thing that Madam Mumbi Phiri, when Madam Mumbi Phiri stepped out, there's a dark guy who also came out. And this is a guy who later we identified to be Peter. I'm so shocked that a Christian and who is using the name of our church repeatedly would come and tell Zambia that she didn't even know, how can you be moving with a person you don't know in the same vehicle? They didn't have 2, 3 vehicles. They had one vehicle. The same vehicle that came for the first time, second time, and this time, the 3rd time, Madam Mumbi Phiri was there, seated in the front seat. So she opens the door, she comes out, and immediately started marching in my direction and said, what are you doing here? Then I asked her, I said, Mlam, what kind of a question is that? No, you are with ECZ there. I said, hey, calm down. Even you at your level, you can be misled by these boys. These were my actual words to her. Can you be misled by these boys that were with ECZ? No, I want to check what's happening in that classroom. I said, come with me. First of all, I even told her, I don't report to you. You have no power to search me. But for the sake of transparency, come with me. Let's go in the classroom. We went together in that classroom. There were still our party officials seated, putting on, wearing their T-shirts that they had just received. And these are branded UPND T-shirts. So when she saw that, she says, okay, but what is in this? I had blue folders on the table. And she asked, what about these folders? I said, you open them yourself. Again, I told her, no right to search us, but for the sake of transparency, you open those folders. So she opened the folders. Again, as a Christian, I want her to be very truthful with herself. She opened the folders and saw that those were UPND branch officials. Nothing suggesting that, first of all, we didn't have ECZ officials there. It was, can I go on just a bit?
Yes.
Yes, so we didn't have any official to be suspected to be ECZ. Then secondly, we didn't have any ballot papers, which they had alleged we had ballot papers. So at that stage, she even admitted, says, oh, okay, no, I've seen. Now, as she was just admitting that she had seen, she had not found any evidence, this guy called Peter started punching the blackboard right in the classroom. Started punching the blackboard and saying to Allah, freedom, and I said, look at what is happening. Now, because there was commotion at that stage, the branch officials in that room started scampering, coming out. And I said, you see what you are doing? As I was now having a heated argument with her to tell her that, look at the commotion you are causing. The boy called Baldwin was busy recording all what was happening, okay? And quickly this guy, as Mumbi Phiri now was walking out of that classroom, one woman says, Muri Baba PF, Tamusambirira, you are the ones who have even caused this by-election because of your violence. Mwabwirana Kabidi, you have come back again to cause violence. At that stage, she turns now and charges at this woman. And then I stepped up to protect that woman immediately. And Baldwin was busy recording. Baldwin, remember, the Baldwin I'm referring to is another complainant in this matter. At that stage, as Baldwin was recording, this Peter comes from the blackboard as they were following us to come out of the classrooms. At that stage, that's when Baldwin was attacked with a teaser gun. And we are separating a fight. When I turned to my left where Baldwin was, he was struggling, and he immediately came up and screamed now after he regained his consciousness and said, Moneni na wanjibida. This man has attacked me.
So, Minister,
Yes.
attacked with a taser gun by whom?
By this guy called Peter, okay, who came with Madam Mumbi Phiri in that vehicle. Now, listen, after Madam Mumbi Phiri now was alerted, she was told, look, this guy has attacked me. This guy has stolen from me. Right there at the scene, it's not like she was far away. We were together. The only thing is that herself and myself, we were on the right side. These boys, Peter and the other Bodwin, were on our left side. And I told her, I said, you see, Madam Mumbi Phiri, what you have caused. Listen to this guy. This guy has been attacked here. She quickly walked to the car, jumped into the car. The next thing, they were calling for this Peter. Well, Peter, let's go, let's go. That Peter ran there and jumped into the car. Now, for now, I know that this matter is still going to court, and we will be in court, and will not rest until all the criminals that did what they did there, they should be given an opportunity to go to court and explain. So I want to just explain this part, and from there, Madam Mumbi Phiri and the whole crew drove out. So what we did from there was to go to the police and report the matter that we had this incident and the attack that the gentleman had, been occasioned. So let me pause there, unless you have a question.
Yeah, I do have a question. So I know that even with the campaigns that do go on during an election, you have different schedules given by the Electoral Commission of Zambia in terms of where you need to be at a particular time, who can be campaigning, and so on. So in this ward that you were present in, was this part of the schedule that you needed to be in that particular ward while the alliance also was campaigning?
Jonah, thank you for asking that question.
It's Chimweka, by the way, Minister.
Oh, Chimweka, thanks. Sorry, I'm not seeing you for some reason. Yeah, so it's that is Mumbi Phiri's narration that it was not our time to be there. First of all, the ECZ regulations are only limiting you to holding public meetings at following the prescribed schedules. I was not holding a public meeting. It doesn't stop me from going to see family members, from going to see branch officials. It was not a public meeting. It was just a meeting to scrutinize the details that we had in the registers versus the physical human beings and giving the T-shirt. So it had nothing to interfere with the presence of PF. They are the ones that, they were not holding a meeting. If they were holding a meeting and I went to their meeting, probably that narration could have, made sense. But they came to our meeting. Even when Mumbi Phiri was coming to that school, the boys who had been the area to our meeting twice to harass us, went to pick her. So she even knew that she was coming to face us. She knew that she was coming to a UPND meeting. But what I expected, Chimweka, was that after she had confirmed that what she had been informed, that we were having ballot papers and that we were with ECZ officials. After she had confirmed that all that were lies, I expected her to put the situation under control.
Okay,
now,
Minister.
Here's the situation. Just a quick one. After she left, we went to the police, we reported. The following morning, we spoke with Madam Mumbi Phiri very early in the morning, about 6:30. And she told me, Honorable Mposha, I'm really sad that the people are alleging, because by then PF went on their social platforms alleging that had been caught red-handed. Emmanuel Mwamba is one of those that was pushing that narrative that had been caught red-handed with the ballot papers and with ECZ officials. She called me in the morning and said,
No, you
I'm going
called.
to call
It's him who called me. It was the first one to call me.
You carry on, Mr. Mposha.
You can proceed.
She's just talking about you calling her on that morning.
So we spoke, and she said, I'm going to call all the radio stations to correct that narrative. and which she did, and sent me a message that I've called Radio Phoenix, I've called this station to clear that narrative, okay, which was not an issue for me. Then in that conversation, I told her, I said, Madam, you have an issue here where your people store a phone and store 20,000 kwacha from Bodwin. And this is money, I want to confirm here, Chimweka, that this is money which I had given Bodwin to ensure that all the vehicles that were going to go in the different places on the voting day, in the 6 different points of Sengawad, were properly refueled. I told him, keep this money. Immediately after this undertaking, I want us to go and refuel these vehicles. It's one of the things that were stolen. So even that narrative about how cheap the phone was, but don't take young people to come and rob innocent people. And Chimweka can tell you, one of the reasons that they stole that phone is because it had all the recordings of their first intimidation, their first visit to us, the second harassment, and including the third harassment of what was happening.
All right, Minister.
And that's how they had to steal that phone to eliminate the evidence. But God, you cannot eliminate the evidence from God.
Minister, let's take this conversation a bit further now. In all of this, I believe you're present as these events are unfolding. So at what point do you conclude that she has to be among the people to be arrested in this? Do you see her stealing the phone? Is she a party to the theft? Because in your account, you say that you were with her as the events were unfolding on the other side.
Good. Chimweka, did you read my statement to the police? Because she has told the whole country that she has the statements and yeah. And I want to believe that you also have the statement, because these statements were also, flashed on the PF social media platforms. Did you read my statement I gave to the police?
You can go ahead and recount it.
So I will not read the statement, but I'll tell you that I went to the police to narrate exactly what I've narrated here, that Madam Mumbi Phiri, leading a team, came to Chisheta school where we were, and the subsequent events that happened. Okay? Now, I reported the matter to the police in that context, and you are aware that Madam Mumbi Phiri, after being removed, when the aggravated charge was removed. Now, again, I want to say this. It's not me as a complainant who prescribes what charge the accused should be given. I gave a statement of Madam Mumbi Phiri leading a team coming to harass us, and subsequently there was that attack and the robbery on Bodwin. What the police decided to charge did not come from me as a complainant or from Bodwin. I think they are the experts who know what charge to give a person.
But just on that, Mr. Mposha, so are you agreeing that even the charge that the police gave is contrary to your account of events as somebody who was present there?
No. Chimweka, look, as a layman, I'm not a policeman myself, but I want to put it this way. Chimweka, you and me and Jonah, if we drove to a filling station, you are driving, we go to a filling station, Jonah and me or someone else in the same car, in the same company with you, we go to the cashier, attack a cashier, carry money, and run into the same vehicle where you are, and we drive out collectively together. And you, Chimweka, even if you remained in the car, you did not take part in there. The fact that you came together, when you are arrested, you are an accomplice. Me as a layman, that's how I take it. But I'm happy to be guided. Listen, I'm happy to be guided by the DPP. I'm happy to be guided by the police, because those are the experts. For me, Madam Mumbi Phiri came to where we were in the same vehicle with these guys, and the attack happened, and together they went back. And I can tell you, the money that was stolen and the phone were all carried in the same vehicle, because that Peter was being called to jump into that vehicle, and he jumped into that vehicle. But because we didn't want to cause violence, we could have manhandled that guy. We could have actually stopped that vehicle. We could have done anything, but I didn't want UPND to be painted to be a violent party. What we did, I asked everybody who was there to retreat and not to do anything. Instead, we went to the police. As a citizen, that was my duty to report to the police.
So
and I have no regret. I want to say this. I have no regret. Madam Mumbi Phiri, you Chimweka, you know that Madam Mumbi Phiri reported Mwaliteta and Siandenge, okay, before the 2021 elections, reported Mwaliteta that Mwaliteta, who was once a provincial minister, that Mwaliteta stole a handbag from her, okay? And Mwaliteta went to prison for not 1 month, not 1 week. Mwaliteta left the wife. Mwaliteta left the children, went to suffer in prison for a crime he never committed.
Even if...
And they complain, listen, no. Let me finish. I heard when Mumbi Phiri was entering there that she doesn't want to be cut. So let me finish. Mwaliteta had to go and suffer in prison, left the family, and you cannot call Mwaliteta's children, Mwaliteta's wife, to be less human beings. He went and faced the law until he was removed. Siandenge had to run from his own country, lost the wife while he was in exile, without mourning the wife. All these are human beings, okay? Who was the complainant in that matter? It was Mumbi Phiri who went to the police. So how special is she that if she leads a team of young people armed with catapults and teaser guns, they come to attack us at our meeting, she must not be reported to the police? No, the law does not operate like that.
You still maintain that you still believe that she's connected to all of this and that her arrest was justified. I just want to get that clear.
And not that I believe. I want to confirm. Mumbi Phiri can take me to court. I'm ready to stand in court. Mumbi Phiri was with that group. They came in the same vehicle. Mumbi Phiri was aware, even when she was going to jump in that vehicle, that there was a robbery that had taken place. And the person who committed that crime jumped in the same vehicle and they sped off together. In my view, and I want to say this, in my view, I'm convinced that she was an accomplice in that crime. As to the charge she was, as to the charge she was given, that is not for me. And I want to qualify this. When the aggravated charge, robbery charge, was removed, Mumbi Phiri admitted the misconduct. And if you read my statement, clearly I've been exonerated. If you read the statement I gave to the police, you will see that clearly Mumbi Phiri admitted to in your view was wrong or what. That is not my issue. For me, my duty was to report what had happened.
Well, it's not Chimweka in my view. I mean, it's clearly even the Director of Public Prosecutions. But Mrs. Mumbi Phiri is here. And I just want to weigh in on what you've just said towards the end. For your release, you did pay a fine of 89 kwacha for an admission.
Is it 59 kwacha?
89 kwacha for an admission of guilt on... conduct likely to cause...
Admitting that she came...
Minister, would you let me conduct the interview? I'm speaking basically what you're saying. So you admitted a charge on causing conduct likely to cause the breach of peace, and he's saying that exonerates him.
You know, it's so sad that we can have an entire minister lying on a national television. Where was I complainant over Mwaliteta's case? And Siandenge. The records are there. Was I the complainant? I wasn't. And this is what our nation has been reduced to do, to be led by liars. And I hope he's acknowledging him is lying. What he has done to me is very clear. And I was very quiet. Excuse me, Honorable Minister. I was very quiet when you were talking.
Yeah,
let me talk. And please keep quiet. I kept quiet when you were talking. Yeah, and for her,
Minister, you have to let her finish, and then your time will come.
To call that woman, she's calling a lumpen. How can he feel if his wife is called a lumpen? Let's have respect for women. But it's usual, the UPND, they have no respect for women.
But what about his final point, where he talks about you admitting guilt?
Does it make sense to you that I can be charged for conduct likely to cause the breach of peace at a public place?
But you
How
admitted
possible
it.
is so?
But you admitted it.
Because I just wanted, you know where I was staying? There are no cells in Kaambwa. I just wanted to come home. There are no cells. I was sleeping on the veranda. you know, like a cage. You saw what Kasonde Mwenda wrote. It was exactly like that. And I was even shocked for that woman from Human Rights to say I wasn't abused. If where she lives, that Dr. Pamela, she lives with rabbits and rats. That's a choice. Because that's what I was sleeping with there outside. I didn't have a bath for 14 days. I didn't. There was no toilet. So I just said, let me go, because this is a misdemeanor case. And, you know, he acknowledges, because he's a minister, he's a right to do whatever he wants. It's them who came to the area where we were campaigning. And to him, Mike Mposha justifying, lying that I made Mwaritet and Siandenge when I wasn't even a complainant. I think my last born son is right. You know, he went to his home. They call him Uncle to plead with him. When I arrived yesterday at 03, my son said, I hope and pray that Honorable Mposha's children will not go through what I've gone through.
Well, he shares quite an interesting account of what happened when you went in there. He says that the person that is alleged to have committed these crimes was with you in the car. Was he with you in the car? Is he the person that...
He's lying. And you can even clearly see, he said it himself. How can he make me account for people who went there the first time? He said it from his own mouth. I didn't go with them.
Were you with him in the car?
No, I wasn't. And even lies that when I went back to the car, I went and sat in front. No, I was sitting at the back.
So who's the gentleman who was driving the car you were in then? Because you said
I don't know his name. You know, I was only in Kaambwa for 2 days.
So meaning there's a likelihood that was actually Peter?
I wouldn't know. It seems he knows him better. I wouldn't know. I didn't even know the person who was driving us. But for him to say I can account for people who went there twice before me, the second time he explained that they went with tasers and catapults. How can I account for them when he saw them? And if you look at the DPP, this was a cooked up story. According to the DPP, what he said that person, the complainant, he didn't even go and get a medical to show that the taser was used on him. It's not him. It's his own person. They are all UPND. That Gilbert Phiri is also UPND. He disputed that. So who is telling the truth? When his own man, DPP, refused, those are the grounds where I didn't agree to prosecute that case. It's sad to have ministers lying. Anyway, they're like their president.
Well, there's also quite a number of issues that come out of all of this. And I would like to find out from you, Minister, I know that you're still there, but from the account that has been shared, I'm really trying to get your biggest point of departure, because you've highlighted one of your issues, one of your concerns being that you were accused of having ballot papers, an issue that Madam Mumbi Phiri here says she did not see any ballot papers. There's a cordial, ideally, what is supposed to be a cordial relationship between the two of you. But also, she says that you called her, or whoever called who, and when you were talking...
He called me.
I called her
back when I found a missed call.
You called her, and when you spoke on the phone, she confronted you about having been reported to some police station. And according to her account, you said there was no such thing, and she could go to any police station. Why did you say that if your understanding was that she was a part of this crime?
Very good question, Chimweka. First of all, when she called me and said, inabutina iba phone ina munchita report to police. So that day, immediately from there, we went to the police and gave a report. Now, a report and a statement are two different things, Chimweka. Okay? We gave a report of what had happened. At the time that she had called me, I had not given a statement. I had given a report. It was the following day where I went now and gave a statement of account of what had happened. Okay? So it's not true that I assured her that I had not reported to the police. But what I told her was that, can you tell your people to bring back the things they stole, the phone and the money. And she says, okay, let me check with them. This is why I'm saying I'm extremely shocked that today she would say she didn't come with those people. Who was driving that vehicle? Because I've told you, that vehicle came to us 3 times. There the people who went and told her, we found Mposha there, and she knew who she was coming to harass. Now, it's not true that I did not report the matter to the police. What I'd done, I'd given a report to the police. It was the following day that I went to give a statement. Now, you are saying you have a cordial relationship. Yes, it's true. We are neighbors. And I want to tell you, Chimweka, that today she can abuse me. And as disappointed as your children are, Madam Mumbi Phiri, my children are extremely shocked. I've spoken to them. All the things that you are saying on Millennium...
and I'll still repeat them.
I'll still
repeat them.
Let me finish. Listen, can I speak?
Yes, please go ahead, Minister. Please go ahead.
Let me finish.
Yes.
My children spoke to me, and they're extremely, extremely hurt and disappointed because, yes, your son came to see me to plead. And I even told him, I said, you see, I have no problem. The matter is now before the police. I spoke to your mom. I had told her to return these things. And she didn't. So all this concoction is coming from my neighbor there, Madam Mumbi Phiri, because even instead of addressing that issue, she decided to leave Kaambwa, and she's telling you that she only reported from Serenje, when I know that she had disappeared. The son came to me 3 times, and I told her, I'm ready to let me go and organize that they bring the phone and the money. I said, I cannot do that now because the matter is not in my hands. The matter is
so me from Mrs. Phiri, you have confirmed that you do not know the man that you're with in this vehicle, the man that you're with in this vehicle.
So
but according to the minister there, he says
Chimweka, let me say one part. I'm just finishing this point. Now, to just qualify what you are saying, that the cordial relationship, first of all, Chimweka, when we won the elections on the 12th of August, 2021, she knows what she went through, that woman. She ran away from her own home when the multitudes of people went to her house, almost burning that house. When I learned, one of my workers alerted me, I drove out of my house at 01 with my PA system to go and meet a huge crowd. If we were a violent part, if the president was not speaking to us that when we win the election, we must not go towards the route of retribution. We must not revenge. We must not avenge the pain we've gone through. I left my house as a UPND newly elected MP to go and protect that woman and her property. She had already run away and left the children at risk. If I was a violent person, as she's painting me and the things that she has said on radio, and that's what has hurt my children.
All right.
Because they...
Let's find out from you, Mrs. Phiri, because you've mentioned...
Your children cannot be hurt more than my children. My children are hurt. And they are the cause of this. For me to be kept in a cage for 14 days, and I'll keep on talking the way I've spoken before on Hot FM, on Millennium, I'll continue speaking.
But Mrs. Phiri, just want to find out, because
they are the cause.
The minister says you assured him that you'll be able to find out more about the phone and the money that went missing. Did you make any efforts to find out?
I did. Me, I don't tell lies like him.
And did you give the feedback?
You know, at a certain point, he has confirmed. He stopped answering my phone. That's why I was just texting. My texts are still in the phone. To tell him, I've talked to Hot FM, I've talked to Millennium. He wasn't answering.
No, but the question is, did you make any efforts to find out from the people who you're campaigning with, whether or not it's true that they got the phone and the money?
Chimweka, remember I told you that I was only in Kaambwa for 2 days. Right? And I wasn't in charge of the campaign. The campaign managers who were in charge was Honorable Kasandwe, Honorable Katotobwe, and the MP for Mwansabombwe.
But were these people
And
there when this
remember-
incident occurred?
No, they were not there. We were going in different places. Why I even found myself there, it's because me, when I arrived, I was assigned to go to Kala, which is the area where that school was. Remember, I explained that I even passed there when I was coming to Kala. We had a slow puncher. We were rushing to town. That's what I said. But this, I mean, he has started it. It's him who has started it. And I don't know if it adds to his CV that he got me arrested for 14 days I didn't bath. I'm sure he's feeling very happy. And yesterday, the bishop, before I was released, after I was released, the Bishop of Umansa came. Even the church is disappointed that we are both Catholics. Somebody can sleep. And even today, one of the priests he called came to see me.
All right.
We go to the same church.
We're getting towards...
Somebody can lie on me. It's very sad, and he has started this.
We're getting towards the
your
conclusion
neighbors,
of...
maybe they're not permanent enemies. Maybe you
Neighbors
reconcile.
where?
Minister,
Where?
I've got a
With
question.
this guy,
Can I say
a
something?
CV
Can I
tarnishing
say
my
something?
image,
Mini-
his CV to go up.
Let me
He
ask
can
Minister...
never be my friend.
Let me ask you a question, Minister, as we get to the conclusion of our interview. What do you think this scenario that has been created paints as a picture of the country's political leadership? At loggerheads, the leadership of the Patriotic Front and the United Party for National Development, but worse off, neighbors who are ideally supposed to have some sort of cordial relationship. What does this say about our current political landscape, Minister?
Good. Before I answer that question, I'd just stopped at a point where I narrated how I went and assisted to save the children and her property. Now, how am I being paid back? She comes to Kaambwa and accuses me to be with ECZ and with ballot papers.
Is it me who accused him?
But Minister, be
Did
fair,
he?
she has clearly
Can I
exonerated you from that.
When she came there, she says, what are you doing with ECZ and what? The point I'm making is that if that was a hostile area or we were in a very hostile environment, I could have been stoned to death. Now, this brings me to your question that leaders must be responsible for their actions. First of all, I'm not the one who made Madam Mumbi Phiri to come and cause the fracas at a UPND meeting. In fact, the country must actually be very pleased with one thing, that we managed to contain our supporters, who were more in numbers than the group that Madam Mumbi Phiri
This
had.
man can lie,
We didn't want violence. Then, talking about the priests that are calling you and said I had called them and whatever, I will not comment because I respect the leadership of the church. But my point of disappointment is that the church must be speaking the truth. Yes, the bishops could have come to see you, but I think they must help you to begin to conduct yourself as a person who is 55 years, as a person who has children and grandchildren. There is no way you can be committing crimes, going to antagonize people, and when the law visits you, you want to be drawing sympathy to yourself. I was a victim in all that situation, and that's why I reported you to the police, and it was my duty. If anyone in our church has an issue with that, and they're disappointed with that, they can stay with that. But I would just beg them to pick the truth, because I'm a member of the church as well. You are a member of the church. And if those that are sympathizing with you without understanding what you did, if I came to a PF meeting and harassed you and then went to report you to the police, maybe the situation would have been different. But now, in terms of the leadership of the country, it's extremely disappointing that when we went to Kaambwa there, my brother Chimweka, I want to tell you that even when we were having road shows, we would meet the MP for Bahati. He was in an ML Mercedes-Benz, and he would open the top part, and he would do the PF symbol, the fist, and would wave back. There was no violence. It is only at a time when this woman Madam Mumbi Phiri, arrived, and the incident of Jean Chisenga, very isolated incidences. I don't know where they have power to go and follow people and begin to search them, because for me, the point here is that this situation would have been avoided. If she had received a report of any wrongdoing, her duty should have been to call the police, ECZ, and say, come and see what is happening.
All right,
this
Minister.
incident should have been avoided.
You
All
know,
right, Minister, I'm going to ask you the final question, and these should also be your concluding remarks, and it's basically the same question on what picture this paints of the country's leadership at the moment, and if you believe that this is a conducive environment for leading a country, a democracy like Zambia.
You know, it's so sad that you can have an entire minister telling lies. We are 60 years of independence in this country. UPND is not the first party to rule this country. I was elected as a member of parliament in 2006 as opposition under MMD. The atmosphere which was there is completely different from what is happening. And the minister can talk about my incident as if it's me who took the violence to Kaambwa. He has forgotten to talk about Sean Tembo, the way he was cut in the presence of the commissioner of police. We have all seen those things. You can have people being jailed like Chitotela and Chirangwa over Arsenal when we have Lucas Mumba, MP for Nakonde, whose vehicle and lodge were burnt. Are they being fair? They're not being fair. But one day, he should know that he will go out of power. What next? Calling other people's wives thugs. Is that a language which should be coming out of a mature person? And Honorable Mposha is on record. He harasses even his fellow members of parliament. We have seen that on TV in parliament. That's his behavior. It's very, very sad. And I can concur with what my son said. You can't wish what I went through, which Honorable Mposha is justifying to happen to anybody. I wouldn't wish even his children to go through what my children have gone through. At no time did I run away the way he's explaining. Yes, he came to chase his fellow UPND cadres from my house. But I was in my house with my husband and my grandchildren. So for him to insinuate that, it's a lie. And publicly, I've acknowledged, now he wants to use it as a weapon to justify me being locked up for 2 weeks. A woman, to use that.
John, I guess we just have to leave it to the Catholic Church to create the reconciliation
he can reconcile
the
with his mother, not with me.
You don't think that you will reconcile?
You don't deal with such people. Such people can even kill you. I didn't say. Do you know that my vehicle was tampered with? What? Up to today. Diff, when it was coming with the driver, Basokola. And when the mechanic from Toyota Zambia Kaambwa came and saw, he said, this woman, the owner of the car, praised because they wanted this vehicle to overtake.
Well, thank you.
Is that the person you can consult with?
That is just a speculation that you've just made there. But thank you so much for joining us this evening on tonight's edition of Diamond Live. Minister, thank you so much for also speaking with us and weighing in on this issue and giving your side of the story. Thank you for watching tonight's edition of Diamond Live. My name is Dingindaba Jonah and my colleague Chimweka Chileshe. Thank you so much for watching. Join us again on Monday at 21:15 hours. Good evening.